Should we go through another question?
Sure.
All right. So on YouTube, Tamas99 asks, what type of job are mostly available for international students in Christchurch, New Zealand?
It's quite a lot.
It's all about Christchurch today, no?
Yeah.
But yeah. All right, cool. All right. So jobs for students in Christchurch. I think we pick like the 4 biggest industry that would be attracting students for working in Christchurch, and the first one would be construction work.
Yeah. So as you might have heard that in Christchurch a few years ago, there was a huge earthquake which did sort of destroy a few buildings here and there. So they're still through the rebuild process at the moment. So that actually means that there's quite a lot of construction jobs. But obviously being an international student, you're not going to have a lot of experience behind you. You're going to want to try and find some entry-level jobs. And surprisingly, actually, construction, there is a lot of entry-level jobs in construction that you can do if you're a student. Do you want to talk more about that?
All right, cool. So, so yes, in construction there is something called hammer hand, which is literally kind of the assistant of the builder, and this requires almost no qualification, and something that you're going to learn a lot on the job, which is quite cool. And that's one of the jobs which are like literally require no qualification and are very handy and easy to get. So, so definitely doing that, good idea. There is also a lot of traffic control jobs, because when you have a construction site, usually you need to divert the traffic. And when you need to divert the traffic, when you need a lot of manpower to, to make sure that the car are behaving properly. That's those guys that hold a stick that says the green and red on top, and that's basically what it is. It's so, it's a job which actually has a lot of risk component apparently to it, and also you're outdoors, so it's usually pretty well paid. You can make up to like $45 an hour just holding that sign, which is quite amazing for a student job. So it's definitely worth looking at that. Now, for most of the construction jobs, you will have to go through recruitment agencies, because it's much easier for the builders and everything to find their help through recruitment agencies. And recruitment agencies also do all the paperwork for them, so they make sure you have the right visas and all of that. Now, before I talk about the rest, I'm going to talk quickly about visas. You have to remember that on the student visa, you're going to have some very strict work conditions. You won't be able to work as much as you want. You have to stick to that. If you don't, your employer will be faced with fines. You will be faced with fines and potential deportation. So it's really bad. So you have to make sure that you stick to that, because we've heard a lot of time of students that even after studying 2-3 years, they don't get their diploma. Bam, you were deported straight away because you didn't respect your condition of your visas. So make sure you do that. And this is one of the reasons why a lot of construction company pass through recruitment agencies, because they just basically make sure that all the paperwork is done properly. So yeah, construction job, really good job for students in Christchurch. What's the next one on the list?
Yeah, so another one that you could do in Christchurch is retail jobs. So obviously Christchurch is the biggest city in the South Island, which means there's a lot of shops. There's a big shopping centre like in the centre of Christchurch. Then you'll find lots of shopping centres in the suburbs and things. So there really is a lot of opportunity for working in shops. And Robin is the expert in retail, so I think Robin should take this one away as well.
All right. So retail jobs doesn't just include like, cashier. So obviously that's the number one kind of job in retail. You're just going to be a cashier. You're just going to be ringing all the items and asking for some money to people. It's the simplest job ever. And it's pretty good because usually you work selected shifts, so you can say which shift you're available and all of that. So it is quite handy, but there's plenty of other jobs. You can be a salesperson, like especially in kind of clothing shop and stuff like that. They always kind of need hands. I need help with that. But there is also all the warehousing side of jobs. So when you actually work at the back and you prepare all the orders, you are unloading trucks, you even work at a big warehouse where you're loading truck to go toward the shops. So there is a lot of those as well, which a lot of people kind of forget about. There's many different types of jobs. So even if you're not a people person, you can still work retail rather easily. Now, one of the good things about retail is that if you arrive around the summertime or a little bit before the summertime, so technically October, November, this is when shops need to hire a ton of people to cover for the extra hours, for the holidays of their staff, for the fact that, well, more people are going to go shopping, and so you will get very easily a job in retail during that period of the year. And if you do a good job, well, there is a strong incentive for them to actually keep you, and it's a great way for you to kind of get a job very easily and keep the job for a long time. So definitely worth thinking about it when you are looking for the jobs. I think retail jobs are definitely worth thinking about when being a student, because they're really flexible as well. Usually you just work shift, and if you're smart enough and you work in a place that you do like I really like video games, so I will work in a video game shop, so I get my staff discount, so that's amazing.
Right, so another one you could do is hospitality work. So that's actually a really good type of job to do if you are a student, because usually you can get there's a lot of part-time work in hospitality, so you will have the time to go to your classes and stuff. And then there's a lot of evening jobs. If you're working in bars or restaurants, you can do a lot of jobs on the evening. And also you can do part-time jobs in cafes, because often when you are a student, you do have full days off in the middle of the week here and there, where, it's usually that's the time when you can go and work in cafes and things. And again, it's another thing where it's an entry-level job. So if you have no experience behind you, you can still go and do working in cafes and and restaurants and stuff like that. And also included in hospitality is tourism jobs as well. So if you're doing reception work in hotels, for instance, or at travel desks, there's lots of different ones that you can there's a lot really encompassed in what hospitality is, and there sure is a lot to do in hospitality in Christchurch. Is there anything you'd like to add to hospitality, Robin?
Hospitality is usually one of the jobs which actually match the best with student hours.
Yeah, that's what I was saying.
So I personally feel like it's one of the best, and that's why it's the most popular job for students. So definitely, if you were to consider one job, go for hospitality.
So next up, our final suggestion really, which is completely different to anything that we've already suggested, is doing some farming work. So this is going to feel a lot different to your everyday life as an international student. Obviously, as a student, you will be based sort of in the centre of Christchurch, where you have access to the university. But if you really want to get that New Zealand outdoorsy experience, and you do have your own car, because you will need to have your own car transport in order to get to work, then there's actually a lot of farming jobs available surrounding Christchurch, because the whole area around Christchurch is known as the Canterbury Plains, and it's just basically called that because there's plains and fields of farming. So there's lots of different types of farming you can be doing. There's dairy farming, and the list goes on. I'm only going to name one because that's all I can think of right now. But so for dairy farming, we actually do have a video which we'll link up in the rebroadcast, just to show you what that's like, because it's a little bit like factory work. You're sort of just like getting these pumps onto the cows, which takes out the milk. It's really an interesting industry. So there's lots of those sort of farming things to do. And again, it's an entry-level job. There's lots of odd jobs that need to be done on the farm. So again, if you do want to get your sort of outdoorsy experience, and usually it does pay quite well as well, then farming around Christchurch is a good way to go. So yeah, I think that's it for farming. Have you got any other?
No, I mean, I think working farming job is a very good idea for students. A lot of people forget about the fact that it will help you stand out so much from employers later on, because every single CV is I was a student and I was a waiter at the same time, But if you actually did some farming job, you learn a lot about work and life experiences as it goes, and you really stand out. There's a lot of transferable skills, so if you know how to kind of work that out into your CV, that's definitely going to help you a ton. So I cannot stress enough how much this will make you stand out. So I think considering a farming job as a student would be really smart for you to actually do. So yeah, that's pretty much it. If this was a helpful answer to you, Tarmas99, click like, subscribe. Thank you very much for watching us. And any of your questions, make sure to put them in the comment below so we can get to it next week.